Hi, everybody, and welcome to our little presentation or explanation, I guess I should say, of the survey that we asked you to consider, given our exercise that we did for Lent and for the Holy 3 Days and for Holy Week. And so Anne's here with us today, and it's going to be a little bit of a switch here. I'm going to be asking her questions as opposed to her asking me questions because she knows more about the survey. She spent much more time with it than I have to really examine it. And I want to thank Anne for being here to be able to do this with us. Very grateful. Okay, so I want to ask you some questions, Anne, about the survey. You're our expert in our survey today. So first of all, let's talk about participation during Lent, the different things we did during Lent, which was a lot of them. And as Kevin puts up the slide with the bar graph on there, look at all those different things that we did during Lent. That's a lot of stuff. A lot of that being virtual, not all of it being virtual, I don't think, but all those different things we did. Can you comment on that a little bit?
Sure. As you can see, the purple line indicates the biggest amount of participation. That was reading our emails. And we had daily emails during Lent, which had content to it. For example,
A lot of content.
right, interviews with you. We had interviews with parishioners. We'll talk about that later. And we had quotes from saints. And so I think that it was also a gateway to find Liturgy of the Word as well, which was very popular. The pink bar graph is Liturgy of the Word, and that was very, very popular during Lent. In fact, we have been doing Liturgy of the Word for about a year now or longer.
Yeah.
And
that was one of the first things we started to do.
Yes, and some people just discovered it over Lent, which is
good.
That's okay. Better late than never. And so at least now we have a larger following for Liturgy of the Word now, even after Lent. So that's a good thing.
Right.
Now you can see there are two that are tied for third, and that
Is it the red one and the brown one there?
Blue and the yellow.
Blue and yellow.
Close.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Blue is
down at the bottom of the graph.
Small group participation, and yellow is
Soup and Scripture.
So people tuned into Soup and Scripture on Friday evening of Lent. Although the nice thing about virtual is that if they couldn't do it Friday, they could watch it during the week.
Oftentimes I did that.
Yeah.
I didn't see it Friday. I did it during the week.
Yeah, I have to say I did too. So the beauty of something being available virtually, you can fit it into your schedule.
And interesting, the bottom yellow one down there, that is participation in outreach. That's pretty good.
Right. We had a few outreach projects throughout Lent, so that was good. The blanket making, the filling of Easter bags, Serve Other Saturday. There were some various activities.
Okay, very good. Great. Now, what would the people like to see us continue to do next year?
That's right.
That's the second graph we're going to put up.
That was the second question.
All right.
Of the things that we did this year, in order, what would you like to see next year? And it's really funny that
it looks very different from the other bar graph.
Very different. And I think people went into their Catholic reset. That's what I call it, because Stations of the Cross and also going to a penance service, those two things were ranked very high. The people want to see Soup and Scripture again, of course, and Liturgy of the Word is still really high up there, probably number 2 to Stations. So, but all in all, it doesn't look like there's anything that they want to drop off the map. Quite frankly, all things will be probably done again.
Very good.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go to participation during the Triduum and what you found out with all of that. And I thought this was interesting too. There's a different bar graph there. So what are you finding out about that in general?
I would say when looking at the bar graph, you see that virtual is very similar to the numbers of in-person.
Personal. Yeah, I thought that was a very interesting thing.
By the people who are taking this survey, not, the actual numbers of the people watching are quite large virtually.
I thought the largest we had, if you look at Easter Vigil or the Vigil and Easter Sunday, it was over 1,000. Now, I my figures I just saw just a few days ago, I think Good Friday was over at 700.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
And I think 600 for Holy Thursday, I think, is what I remember seeing. That's pretty high for all that. That was all virtual.
Right. And when you think about pre-COVID or 2 years ago when everybody could be in person, only the people that could fit in church
Right,
had
right.
access to.
And we can only fit 300 and some people in
Right,
church when it's
right,
completely full.
right. So when you count the people that were in the church in person and virtual, we tripled the
Yes,
amount of
yes,
people.
yes.
And what if COVID, sometimes COVID brought good things. And in fact, I think that's a good thing that more people can participate with us.
Okay, so Anne, given Lent, Holy Week together, what experiences did people say provided them with the deepest spiritual impact?
Right. There were a few that really jumped out. And of course the Triduum, I think that won the race. And going to all three services and masses are essential to the Triduum, correct?
Yeah, I
I
would
mean,
say
that's
correct. Yeah,
essential.
yeah.
Okay, so that was the leading number. Second was, of course, daily liturgy of the word. This again was a profound experience for people during Lent, and not only because of its format, but because it was a daily practice. It was
Mhm.
something somebody could participate in
And
as
we're
well.
really happy to do them too. Yeah,
Right. We enjoyed.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Enjoy
So
myself.
now, this is interesting. Holy Thursday had a very high number, and quite frankly, I think it's because how it all unraveled unraveled
That's all
maybe is a
right.
good
That's all
word
right. That's all right.
because
Yeah.
tell everybody what happened and then they witnessed it.
Well, I hope maybe I hope you did. I wish you didn't see it. I broke the little cruid, I guess. I don't know what you call it, a little jar of the oil of the sick for Saint Michael's. That was the very
Oh, is that
beginning.
what it was?
As
Okay.
it was. Yes.
So but what happened after that? How did that make you feel?
Well, I was saying like I actually whenever I saw Joyce and Jeannie sort of run to the rescue to clean up all the mess that I made. I actually was trying to clean up a little bit, and I cut my finger, and it wouldn't stop bleeding.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like one of those little paper cut type things, just a little piece of glass cut, and I was bleeding. I was trying to get rid of it, stop bleeding there too at the same time. But the thought that ran through my mind is, I probably can't screw this up any more than this. So I was sort of completely free by the after that
Yeah.
point. It was just completely free by the whole experience. And so the fact that I broke that kind of like broke down my nervousness that I always feel Holy Thursday, I get real dry in the mouth and I feel very nervous um, during that because it's the beginning of this 3-day event, which I'm nervous about the whole thing. And so I kind of broke through that by breaking that jar. So,
Literally, sure, you
yeah,
broke
yeah.
through. However, though, that your vulnerability came through with was that the homily when
That was after the homily.
after the homily?
I renewed my vow. So we do that at the Chrism Mass, and it's almost like such a matter of fact thing that we do there. It doesn't mean that much because we don't make a big deal out of it there too much at all. But I thought, what can we do rather than washing feet? Because if Jesus isn't washing feet, if I'm not washing feet, it doesn't make any sense because Jesus is the one that did it in the gospel. So I thought the closest thing I could do was renew my promises, which meant more to me to do that there with you guys than it did ever with me doing it at the Chrism Mass, I have to say. So I was very nervous about that. I wasn't nervous like I'd mess it up. I was more nervous about being the vulnerability of it.
Right. But it showed through and it was authentic and people appreciated that. And because of that, we had a lot of comments regarding Holy Thursday.
Yeah.
Really profound, I thought.
So here's a question I think it's interesting. What are some other ththings that people did besides the thing that we did with them? What's some of the things that they did?
They were pretty resourceful. And some of the examples that they did were, well, of course, additional reading and private prayer. Some fasted, and of course, reading scripture. Some of the more creative ones were they stopped judging people. That's a good thing. And also giving up bad habits. And another creative thing was they gave up their games on their phone.
That's a good one to give up.
That's a good one. Yeah.
That's a time waster.
Yeah. And somebody said they were reading the writings of the popes. Now that's pretty interesting.
That is pretty interesting. I didn't see that
one. I like this one. Somebody prayed the rosary over the phone with a friend who lived across the country. So I think they did this on a frequent basis. somebody on business trips was visiting the Blessed Sacrament wherever they traveled.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
Pretty cool.
exactly.
Daily Mass, that's pretty big. You know, I would say about Daily Mass, I think a lot of people have continued to come. It's been still been pretty full
Oh, that's
for
good.
Easter.
Yeah,
So I'm glad people are still
right.
coming to Daily Mass.
Because there's that thinking that you do something special for Lent and then Lent ends and then you go back to normal.
Yeah.
But it's not supposed to work that way.
Yeah, so I'm glad many people are still coming to Daily Mass. It's been good.
Right.
It's
Isn't
been
it
good.
like you develop these practices? That's awesome. Lent's supposed to bump it up a bit so that you
And stay up
can
there.
stay there
It's
and
supposed to
then,
stay up there.
keep
Yeah.
bumping it up, not the reverse.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah.
So
those
how
are
do
some-
people? How do people rate their preparedness for the Triduum? I mean, if Lent's supposed to prepare us for the Triduum, Lent's supposed to actually really prepare us to renew our baptism promises. That's the
Mhm.
big thing.
Mhm.
But the Triduum is all about all that. So how do people rate their preparedness for the Holy 3 Days?
Well, majority, I'd say 74% said they were prepared. So I kind of wish there was a follow-up question because if you didn't feel prepared, I wonder what that reason
Yeah,
was.
what we could have done to
Yeah,
be able to
maybe
help
next
people
year
to do
we'll
that.
find out,
Yeah,
or you can let us know.
yeah.
Hmm.
So interested in your suggestions for next year. So what are some of the things that people suggested that we should do for next year?
Okay, there were a few comments regarding how
Is this a graph?
no.
Okay.
So we did not have a traditional penance service because we would have to cram people in, and then we would be standing in line, back to back, trying to get into the
I know your idea is to do it. Anyway, I'm saying that. Anyway, kind of cram people when you're right.
yeah.
That's true.
And so we couldn't do that this year.
And this
So-
was just in the survey, different comments people made. So go ahead.
right. So people actually like the format of how we held confessions this year, which
Mhm.
was in multiple locations, multiple buildings, and you didn't have to wait in line like in years past. I mean, maybe a short while, but I think
Well, some people waited in line for quite a while, but the lines weren't that, and people kept on coming. I was busy. We were busy for an hour and a half, 2 hours each time.
But if you wanted to go to a particular priest, you may have. But if you were open to any priest, you didn't have to really wait in line. So, and this is funny because I thought a penance service had to be that way. You had to do that, but that's not the case at all.
Well, we really didn't have a penance service.
Right?
We just
but
had
I mean,
confessions.
right? But it's not necessary to have a penance service.
Apparently not, because we didn't do it. And many people did comment that they preferred the way we did it this time
Okay,
better.
that's what I was
there
thinking,
was
yeah.
other people that commented
Right.
that, yes.
Right. And again, we had a comment that they would like to see children be able to participate in activities alongside during Lent and maybe an Easter activity. But again, with COVID, we weren't able to pull that off. But for sure next year. Outreach to shut-ins, they would like to see more of that. I think with the delivery of soup,
I
that was
think
a
we
great.
did a pretty good job with
Yeah,
that.
I think that kind of touched the people that were on the receiving end of the soup. They really were thankful. People kept commenting, "Oh, please continue the virtual." They hope that doesn't go away after the pandemic,
Mhm.
and we can assure you that it will not go away.
Yeah. And if you have anything else you'd like us to be able to do, let us know with that.
Right. Let's see. And some people had a pretty creative idea, like having a bonfire outside of the church to invite the neighborhood, at some time during. Well, I think that's a great idea. We can do that anytime.
One of these days.
One of these days, right? Well, it's outdoors too. So, let's see.
More days for confession, which would be okay too. to
Yeah,
do
more
that.
days for confession. And a couple other things people were asking, are we going to have outdoor masses again?
Yeah, we're in the process of planting grass over there so we can get some more grass. And again, right as we look out the window right now, it is
It's
snowing
snowing.
right now as we look out the window. So
April 21st.
yes, but we will be having outdoor masses again. Yes, absolutely.
Hmm. And people still ask, why do we need reservations?
And another comment that came along with that, why isn't it first come, first serve? Because then we turn our hospitality people into cops, and all of a sudden,
Yeah.
who wants the job, not me, of turning people away whenever it may be and who decides the church is full? And I can just see that turning into a great fiasco
Right.
if that happened, and a lot of really hurt feelings, a lot of really hurt people with all that. So with the reservations, and God bless Joyce, who takes care of all that stuff for us, with those reservations and the hospitality, the way they do it back there, and now that we can have mass over in the hall, we always take communion over with all that. I still think, given COVID, that's the best. That's the best solution to our problems so far at this time. And I can't, first come, first serve. I just think that would be a disaster. I think we do, since the church does feel we have to have reservations. If we did not have reservations in a church filled up, it would be a disaster. I hope you understand that. Hope that makes sense, because the first come, first serve. If you want to do it that way, you're the one standing at the door telling people they can't come in. You know,
all I can think about is being a mom of like 4 little kids, and you've got them ready for church, and then you show up and you're told that you can't go.
You can't come into church. Or you're going. No, it just would not lend itself to any kind of a welcoming that I could see with all that. So. Anyway, some folks asked about, I just mentioned when asked about choir. I want to mention that now. Right now, we are doing everything, given the directives from the CDC, given the directives of the diocese, we're doing everything we can to get as many people back in the choir as possible. Whenever all of this is, everybody's safe, we can have more people together, we can take off masks, then the choir will occur. But at this point, we have 5, 6 people back there at a time right now. We're doing the very best we can, keeping people safe with all that. And again, I just hope people understand that we are doing everything possible to make as many people available for that as possible and still staying safe at the same time.
I agree. Also, as far as other churches in our diocese, I think we were actually one of the few that had an ensemble. And
we have musicians back there,
and also
instruments.
Confessions. The way we did them, we were one of the few churches that.
Yeah, one of the few churches in the area that had confessions when we did it. Yeah, that's one of the few. Yes, as a matter of fact, I only think of one other that did that. So we're trying to do our best with all that. And any other finishing thoughts for on the survey? Concluding thoughts, I should say.
Well, we thank Joyce, but I want to thank Kevin, because without our virtual offerings, which were many.
Yes, many.
We would not have had the participation. You would not have been able to participate in many of the offerings. So we're so happy that we have that virtual option, and it will continue.
And thank to the people who helped to donate for the technology that's over in the hall, the screen, the speakers, the computer, the projector, all that over there too. So all that, thanks for the people that helped them participate and helped with all that. And so we're just grateful to all of you too for all your participation, all of your generosity with all that. And we just hope to continue to go forward as best we can. In my mind, we try to continue everything we were trying to do before COVID, during COVID, and we'll try to do the best we can post-COVID, whenever that is. I'm not sure when that's going to be. So
I absolutely agree. So
we're
working hard and trying to do even more virtual offerings in the future as well.
So thank you very much for watching, and God bless you.